Welcome to the Chase, episode 9. Thank you for joining us today. And joining me once again, back from his hiatus, is Jacob.
Yeah.
Good to have you back.
So glad to be back.
Good. How's married life?
Blessing. It's a blessing. It's awesome.
Excellent. So real quick, just wanted to plug where you can find us. You can find us at www.newhopelv.com. Go to the media tab and then click on podcasts. You'll find all of our episodes there. You can also find our Twitter account at Podcast The Chase. YouTube is a little bit more tricky because you're going to have to kind of search The Chase and then scroll way down. However, I do also have the link on the Twitter profile, and it will be on the New Hope website by the time you see this. So you can find all that there. And I'm a little behind, but we'll also get it on some new platforms, on some actual podcast platforms rather than just kind of where we are limited now. But regardless, today we are going to be talking about dealing with loss. We're not going to talk just about kind of the obvious, people losing loved ones, but losing maybe stuff, losing possessions, losing
the fight against your flesh, etc.
Yep. And so how we're dealing with that, how God says to deal with it, how healthy ways to deal with it, and maybe look at some unhealthy ways that we've dealt with it. So, Jacob, what kind of things have you dealt with in loss?
Well, I've never been one to really be affected emotionally by like physical loss, like a person, but more loss in my own like victories and defeats. I really can beat myself up about times that I fail and times that I drop the ball. That's more kind of where I stand.
Okay. All right. Personally, I've kind of dealt with loss here and there. I lost my dad when I was 21, so that losing people kind of hits close to home for me. I've also lost both my grandparents on my dad's side, and it's just I've been there, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, as far as like kind of the challenges in loss, it's people that aren't the only things that I've lost. I've lost, I've lost vehicles.
You had a vehicle stolen?
No, but it's died on me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, what do I do now? And I haven't really lost anything too major. Like, I've never lost my place to live, which I feel real fortunate and blessed for, because, getting put out onto the streets or whatever, having no place to call home, I've never had to deal with that, and very thankful for that. But as far as the loss that I have experienced, especially with my dad, that's kind of the big, obvious one. Something like that, that's another thing, because it wasn't really expected. So it just kind of happened.
So did you, during that time, did you blame God, or what was that like for you?
I don't think I ever blamed God, but I certainly felt angry. I think I was angry towards God. I was asked a lot, why did this happen? Why now? Why not down the road? So it's something like that, like you hear about, and you hear from other people, you hear it in the church, because the church obviously preaches about on topics of loss, because you
Yeah.
know, you look at Job, he lost
Everything.
all his family, he lost all his possessions. Um,
All his family except his wife.
yeah.
Yeah.
I won't go into that one, but it makes you wonder. But sure, yeah, like I knew what the right answer was. I knew how I should feel. I knew the right way to go about it, but man, I was challenged a lot harder than I thought I would be. It tested my faith for sure, because you don't really go through something like that and not find yourself struggling, at least to some degree,
Oh yeah.
with your faith.
I think it's safe to say that there's no way that you could truly be ready for that. Would you say that there's no
Yeah.
truly way that you could just be like, okay, I can handle this now, Lord. Send
Yeah.
it my way.
Right.
But I think it's important. You said that you didn't blame God. I think that's important not to blame God in those situations, because yes, God's control. He has everything in His hands, and everything's working for His good. But this is not what God wants. God. It all started with sin. That's the reason we have death, and the
Yeah.
wages of sin is death. And that there's going to be a long-term healing that He has planned.
Right.
So, how did that loss kind of, would you say, affected you over time with your identity, and has affected the way you are in relationship with the Lord?
Well, as I was going through it, like I kind of had to really look at God as my father, because I'd lost my earthly father, right?
Yeah.
And so when I was going through that, I kind of had to realize that, God is my heavenly father. And, when you have your earthly father, you rely on him for a lot of things. And when mine was suddenly gone, I think I had to even focus even more on relying on him, because, I mean, it's like one of those things that you always know, but you don't. I guess I didn't have the greatest perspective on that before. And it was just one of those things where I was suddenly refocusing, kind of committing, once I had gone through the pain. Once I had gone through.
I mean,
the loss.
would you say that it's almost like it's like, oh yeah, I love baseball, I watch baseball all the time, and then you get out there on the home plate to take a swing at the ball, and you're like, whoa, it's a totally different ballpark, literally.
Yeah.
Like, of just like, whoa, I wasn't expecting him to throw a curveball, in a sense, or baseball analogies, but like, just like, it's so much different than watching it and saying and knowing, like you said, like you knew the answers, you knew what to do, you knew what was the right thing, but once you got in it, it was so much different.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You mean as far as my perspective?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy. Like, I'm sure that there's gonna be a day when I experience a loss, a great loss, very close loved ones. There's gonna be that day. I am aware of that, and I've never, like I said, been that person that's like, I'm gonna cry for a few days and mourn in that way. But I'm sure that there'll be a time where I want to encourage someone, like, get up, you got this, get over it. You can do this, in a sense. And there'll be a day when I won't be such enthusiastic about it. Like, it really is hard to lose, to loss.
Yeah. I think that's one of the differences between sympathy and empathy. I mean, sympathy, you can be sympathetic to somebody and feel sorry for them. But empathy is kind of when you've been there and you're like, yeah, I really know what you mean. I know what you're going through, and it stinks. And let me pray for you. I'm here to talk if you need to.
Have you had the opportunity to comfort someone that's experienced loss?
Yeah. I don't know if I should name names, but somebody at this church.
Bobby Joe.
Huh?
Just say Bobby Joe.
Yeah, Jim. No, that's not a good example. It's not our Jim, but we'll just
so and so.
know. I can only think of names of people that are actually here.
Sally.
Let's say, well,
Jimmy.
Jimmy, sure. Let's say
Jimmy. Okay.
So Jimmy recently lost his mother, and well, not recently, but it's been a few months. But anyways,
so because I had gone through that, losing a parent, I was able to talk to Jimmy a little bit and kind of share my own experiences and just stuff like that. You can't really say a whole lot to make it feel better, but I think having somebody and sharing those experiences with somebody can be a little bit comforting.
We had, Lily and I had people at our college who had a miscarriage, and it was during one of the college's biggest events, and there was a lot of people there, and something that I observed that really affected me is some godly people that I really love and appreciate, and I watch them because I want to be like them. I want to love the Lord the way they do. Something that they did for that couple during that time is they just sat there with them. They didn't say nothing. They didn't have to say anything. They just were there, and they sat, and they hugged them if they needed a hug, and they cried with them. It's like as if they were going through it. And that's something I'll never forget. I just watched it. I was like, in passing, I was like, I stopped for like a few minutes. I was like, wow. For me, I'm always like, I'm a talker. I feel like I can talk my way out of things in a sense, or just like I got something for you to say. Like I got something. If you need it, I got something to say. I got something in my bag of words somewhere, and that could be to my fault. But I just thought it was so interesting that when you're quiet, and God's constantly referred to as a still small voice. And it even says in Psalms 34:18, it says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." And I just love how close and gentle God is. It's just like He's close to the brokenhearted. And it says, Psalms 147:3 says, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." And just like He's so tender, like I can just imagine like with the little kid, if they hurt their leg and the mom comes up and tends to the wound and just, it's going to be okay. I'm with you now. You're going to get over this. This will heal.
Yeah.
That's just how I imagine God and the way He is with that couple and used others around them as just to be there. I don't know if you could speak to that, or you've had someone do that for you.
Well, I maybe I haven't necessarily got it myself. Maybe I haven't done that myself. Because honestly, like maybe despite all appearances on this show, I'm not a very good people person. Like I'm not good at interacting. I'm not good at getting out of my comfort zone, which is for sure a fault, and it's something I've struggled with my whole life.
Growing here.
Right, for sure. But I have, to a degree, I've been there with my wife, because in marriage, I found that. Sorry, let me start over. At the beginning of my marriage, being the young, inexperienced husband that I was, I would try to fix my wife's problems. She would, she'd come to me with a problem, or she'd come to me crying. She would be upset about something, and I would start to go on about how to fix it, how to do better, how maybe what she could do. And my intention was never to make her upset or to, I never meant to hurt her. But she had to end up telling me, like, I don't want you to fix it. I'm telling you this because I want you to listen.
I can just imagine her saying that too.
Oh, yeah. So I learned pretty quick that sometimes to comfort people, all you need to do is be there. Just listen.
Be present.
Yeah.
Present to win.
Yeah.
That's the same.
Yep. Exactly.
So, switching up sides of it, you are in a field with writing books, and it's a lot of overcoming from what I've gotten from you and your wife, just a lot of overcoming, a lot of obstacles.
Yeah.
So how has your journey in the book writing career of hurdling obstacles, dealing with loss, and just how does that overcoming look like? How's it like, has there been times where you wanted to beat yourself up, or times where you're really down? Like, tell me about that.
Sure. So, with writing and rather trying to get an agent and then have that agent try to sell your book. I've only gotten as far as trying to get an agent. So, because it's such a subjective business industry, you face rejection a lot. It's almost, I haven't tried to become an actor, but I've heard stories of people trying to become an actor and they get rejected and they get turned down.
It's a hard field.
Hundreds of times, yeah. And so it's kind of like that. It gets discouraging because, for me, I'm like, well, is my work good enough? Is that why I'm getting rejected, or is it just that it's subjective? Is it just that they don't have a connection with the work itself, or is there actually something wrong with my writing that I can, because I can't fix it if I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Right. So I think.
Do you ever get feedback? I don't mean to.
No, that's okay.
Do you ever get feedback from agents like, maybe if you worked on this, then I might come back to you, or?
Generally no, because agents typically get probably hundreds of queries a week, which is just kind of a short pitch for their work, and so they don't generally have time to kind of go into what's wrong.
I didn't know. I learned something new.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah.
So you're almost like going to audition.
Right.
And pitch your book and your idea.
Exactly.
And hope that they pick the dream up.
Right.
With you.
Yep. Yeah.
Dream with me.
Look at this story. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah. Sorry. Next.
It'd be great. And there's certain things that I could do, like find critique partners or like readers that can.
Doesn't your wife critique your books?
She does, yes.
She like the most honest?
She is actually, which is great.
Yeah.
Which is great. Because not every spouse will do that. But yeah, she's very honest. And it's not that I don't trust her word, right?
Yeah.
But her feedback as a consumer of books and feedback from
being a teacher.
Yeah. I mean, she's definitely has credits that earns her the right to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. But it's like without a big sampling of feedback and without like professional feedback.
Yeah.
It's
people who are in the
hard to
business.
tell. Right. Yeah.
Who've been there, done that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
So my point that I was getting to that with is that overcoming that, I think, is the recognition that God has that plan for me. Because I felt that, and I still feel that, but it's like when I get those rejections, like, is it really?
Yeah.
Is it really what I'm supposed to do? Yeah. Because nothing's happening.
Why?
Yeah. Then I have to remind myself, God's timing is different than my timing. And
Oh yeah.
I'm sure there's a reason for it. It gets frustrating
Oh, I'm sure.
without that.
Yeah.
So, It's something I need to pray about more, and it's something I need to get myself to trust God for more.
So you would say that the key to overcoming loss is a lot of prayer and a lot of just reminding yourself of the confidence in the Lord and His promises.
Yeah, for sure. Listening to Him, which I guess goes with prayer, but a lot of times we forget that prayer is two-sided. It's not just us going to God and saying, "This is what I need." We have to be careful to sit there and listen.
I heard a pastor once, somewhere in my time of church, and it was like 90% listening, 10% talking.
Oh, I like
should
that.
be your prayer time.
Yeah.
And that's really hard. And we've even talked about how there's a book I was reading called Intimacy with the Almighty, and he talked about how his mind is like a cage with monkeys in it. The monkeys are hungry; they haven't eaten for weeks, and they see you, and you're eating a banana in front of them. He just was kind of painting a picture, and he's like, you have to sit there and let those monkeys get quiet. And that's like, he has to let his mind get quiet, and it takes a long time, Sadly, the monkey's probably dying. But, that's kind of what I was thinking about. It's probably the wrong thing. He's getting quiet because he has no more left in him, But, just like allowing your mind to get quiet, because the Lord really wants, it's kind of the common thing. It's like God is still small voice, is quiet. You got to take that step of being quiet, which will drive you crazy almost, you feel like. But then some of the most awesome moments in life are when I was just quiet enough. And I also encourage you to bring a pen and notepad, because when you're quiet and He does speak, you want to write it down. Because I've been so many times, I've just written it down, and then I go back to it, and it means something to me years later. It's like, wow, that's awesome. Thanks, God.
Yeah. Being quiet can do a lot for you, and it's just like everything else. It's almost like a skill. Like you have to learn to.
It is a skill.
Push away the things that are distracting you. Thinking about what's for your next meal, what you got to do tomorrow. Jesus said, "Let tomorrow's problems deal with itself." So
it's and don't get discouraged too. If you are like a parent, or you only have that little bit of time in the bathroom, with the little fingers on the door.
Yeah.
You're just any time that you give to God, I feel like it doesn't go it's, God is, His word never returns void. He never returns void. No time with Him ever goes without rewards in the future, which is just more of Him.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. So I've kind of spoken a lot, but have you kind of dealt with any loss that you kind of had to figure out what to do? What challenges you face? Don't feel like you have to give specific examples if you don't.
No. I'm just thinking of all the different ways that I experienced loss. When my dad was in the hospital for many years of my life, just that loss of time with him just really made me have to learn to trust God even more. Just because, you rely on your dad, you want more time with him. But my dad was sick a lot when I was younger, and I did get a lot of time with him, and I'm very grateful for that.
Nice.
It wasn't that he didn't want to, that it was just a lot of times he was sick, But God really guided me through those times, and I would even say, in my life, I just took a lot of L's, in a sense. I took a lot of L's. I just constantly felt like poop was being thrown in my face.
Yeah.
I just look at it now, and I'm just like, how God has wanted me to stand out. I know that sounds kind of cocky, but it's not. I just have a full confidence that God has been putting me through everything that I go through because He wants me to stand out. He wants me to be a voice for Him. And I just think of the people in the Bible where He just put them through trial. And Job was put through trial, but God wanted him to stand out. He wanted to say, Satan, I told you that this guy was going to stand through it all. And I'm sure it's so much fun for God just to say like, hey, test this guy, test him, and get so frustrated. But
Yeah.
God has really put me through a lot of tests, and I could tell you so many stories, countless stories where I just was stumbling through life, it felt like, and God just was all just painting this giant picture that I'm going to be able to look at someday and look back and reflect on. Just like, wow. And it all boils down to, all my losses boil down to God and His goodness. And I think that it's hard for people to look at that way.
Yeah.
I get a lot of times people in my work, they're like, God's a good God, then why do I go through this? And why do I have 17 burials this year, like of friends and family? It's like,
That's the age-old question.
yeah, it's like, why, if God's a good God, then why does He do this? And I think that that's the wrong question. It's like, God, what are you trying to teach me through this all?
Yeah.
And I learned that. I'm very fortunate to learn that easily, being younger, and just watching faithful people in my dad's life, people that prayed for my dad, people that showed me God's goodness, and just like, God, what are you trying to show me? Instead of looking at God as the torturer, realizing that we do have an enemy. He's out to seek and destroy us every single day, and that God only has good intentions.
Yeah.
And it says that God will never tempt us. He will never put us through something that He doesn't know that we will go through. He put Job in that spot in his life because He knew, without a doubt. He stood in front of Satan and said, that's my guy. He's going to make it through it.
Yeah.
And I believe that he has that same confidence, especially after Jesus did what He did for us. He has that same confidence for us. Bobby, I'm going to put him through things in his life, and he's going to make it through it. I know he will. Satan, test him. Put him through things. And Satan's like, yes, I could have put him through things. But little does anyone know that it's just a bonus, because everything that Satan tries to take down is, one, going to bring God glory, and it's going to make you a better person.
Yeah.
To everything. It's just like a win-win. Like, if you look at it that way, we're winning. You're going through a hard thing, you're winning. You didn't die. That person unfortunately did, but you're here. You have something to learn from it, and God wants the best for you.
Yeah.
You know, I know, and I feel like, oh, pumped up now. But it's like, God has the best for you, and it's easier to look at that than focus on things. And even though, like, Pastor Jeremy this Sunday had the pin, he's like, if you hold the penny up in front of your eye, in front of the sun, you could block the sun. You know, it's the big, bright sun.
Right.
But if you take that penny away, or you put it further away, you throw it and you look at it, it's real small. I think that's just important, stop looking at and blaming God for all these things.
Yeah.
Just say, what are you trying to teach me?
Yeah. And that was the other thing, verse that I stood on a lot when I lost my dad, was that all things work together for good for those who love Him. And honestly, I did see a family member saved out of the death of my father.
That's
so
awesome.
It
Praise
was
God.
an incredible thing.
Praise God. That's
Something
awesome.
I never would have thought I'd see. So
That's awesome.
all right, I think that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you for joining us, Jacob. Glad you're back.
Glad to be
And
back.
until next time, chase God and chase His word.
What?